Hi guys, Scott Woodward with you to talk about the very exciting Sydney Roosters, and what an exciting list they have. That doesn't always transfer into wins and doesn't always transfer into playing semi-final football, although this team played in the grand final 3 years back in 2010 when they were coached by Brian Smith. In fact, Brian Smith had a 52% win record with the Roosters, which wasn't a bad effort and made the grand final. You have to say it wasn't a disastrous effort, even though you still feel that they didn't play to their potential during that period. They've got a new coach this year who was Brian Smith's assistant in charge of their defence when they made the grand final that year, and then he went overseas and he coached the Cattle and Dragons, where he took them from cellar dwellers and turned them into almost a 60% winning side. An outstanding effort, and to be honest, I wasn't surprised. I've always had a regard for Trent from the time I met him, and I always expect him to do very well. You only have to listen to him talk about football and you know that he knows what he's talking about, and he certainly proved that when he went overseas. And certainly the very astute Roosters management were aware of his talents, and they didn't hesitate to offer him a first-grade job. So look, I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does here. I consciously haven't sat down and had a cup of coffee with him and talked to you about the Roosters prior to doing this video, because quite honestly I didn't want to be influenced by what he was going to say, although I would love to hear what he's got to say. But this is really what I think will happen, right or wrong. We'll find out. But I think clearly the challenges that he's got is the same challenge that Brian Smith had. He doesn't have a rudder. There's no one in the Roosters side to run the team, to be their organiser. That might sound ridiculous given that they have the current New South Wales halfback in Mitchell Pearce, and I think he's an outstanding player, Mitchell Pearce. He's a very, very good player, but he struggles as the go-to man, as the on-field general. And I saw the Roosters many, many times when they were in a try-scoring position, and the ball would either go to Mitchell and he would make the wrong call, right, left, grub a kick, bomb kick, a long pass, whatever, he would get it wrong most of the time. And a lot of the time when they were near the line and they desperately needed a try, he wasn't even in position to call out for the ball. He was letting someone else get the ball. He just didn't take control, which you want for somebody who's running the team. And I've got no doubt that he would go much, much better with somebody else running the team. He went very, very good when they made the grand final, but he had a guy similar to him who was a very, very good talent, and they seemed to combine okay. But now one of their big ins, one of their big off-season buys is James Maloney from New Zealand. Now James is a runner, and he's brilliant off the mark, and he's only a little guy, but he'll charge through a brick wall, and he's a very, very good hole runner, quite a good tactical kicker, quite a good goal kicker. But he's not your organiser. He's not the guy that's going to take the pressure off Mitchell. So I was disappointed to see that. I thought that somebody would come in and take the pressure off Mitch, and would see a much better side because of it. I think that's their biggest problem. Now I'm going to give you my starting 13, what I think will happen, not necessarily what I would do, but this is what I think will happen. And I do just want to remind you to get your download, click on the link below and get your free ebook for NRL and also AFL. Some great reading in that, I'm sure. I hope you'll like it. A lot of work was put into it. Well, let's talk about Anthony Minichiello. He's a part of the furniture at Sydney City Roosters, and you have to admire the fact that everyone respects him, and he trains so hard, and he's just so fit. But in all honesty, I haven't seen him reproduce his 2005 form for a long, long while, and there's no way known he would be in my top 13. They've made him captain, which I think is fair enough. He's the most experienced player in the side. If you're going to have him in the side, you have to make him captain. But I certainly would have had him as my starting right winger. If you're going to have him into the side, you can't have him in such a key spine position like fullback when he can't bust the tackle. He was terrible with a grub a ball. He let 2 tries in last year, not being able to pick up loose ends, and he's actually reasonable under a bomb. But one of the reasons why they will go for him, they'll say it's because of experience. Now look, I understand that Roger Tuivasa-Sheck hasn't got the experience that Mini's got at fullback, but Roger is a potential world beater, and he'll bust tackles, he'll sidestep around people, and he'll make length of the field breaks. Anthony can't do that. Anthony just cannot do that. He will try and make hit-ups and try and do dummy half runs to get his metres up, but when Anthony's got the ball, nobody stands up on their toes and go, oh, what's going to happen now? You know not much is going to happen, and you can't have a fullback when you think that. And sadly, I think he will be the starting fullback in game 1, and I think that gives South Sydney a very good chance of winning the first 2 points in the competition. It's such an important role. I know that the Roosters have got a monumental opinion of Daniel Tupou. I have to say, I haven't seen the talent that they think he's got, and I know that they think the world of him, and he'll clearly be one of the other starting wingers. And if Mini's going to be on one wing, I'm assuming Sheck will be on the other wing. It absolutely should be the other way around, and I'll be devastated if Sheck doesn't come on and play fullback pretty soon into the competition. I'd really like to see in game 1 against South Sydney. In the centres, sadly, the Roosters have lost Marga, and he looks like he'll be out for the season, certainly be out for 6 months. And they're lucky that they're able to pick up Michael Jennings, one of the best centres in the competition, to come in. Fantastic pickup, and it plugs that hole, there's no doubt about that. Sean Kenny-Dowall, while he's got a lot of mistakes in him, and you saw a mistake that he made in the in the Indigenous game, in the All-Stars game, and which led to a try, but he's also a devastating guy in attack. If he can switch on and focus a little bit, and not just clutch at balls and make silly knock-ons and get his hands right, he's a world-class player, Sean Kenny-Dowall. And to have Sean Kenny-Dowall and Michael Jennings as your 2 centres, you know that there's a lot of potency there, and to have 2 good wingers, that the Roosters are in very, very good shape. One of the areas where the Roosters have struggled in previous years is they've had a distinct lack of pace. They haven't had fast centres, they haven't had fast wingers, and of course Mini's been the fullback, so they've just had a total lack of pace. Michael Jennings actually gives that. He'll bring in some new pace, and if we can get Roger Tuivasa-Sheck back at fullback, then the Roosters take on a whole new dimension, and they will look very, very dangerous. Fighting out for those wing positions will be guys like Michael Oldfield, who I have a high regard for. I think he's an excellent pickup, and Adam Henry, he got some good minutes last year, and he'll certainly be coming on if there's any injuries. But tragedy that we probably are not going to see Moga in first grade this year because of injuries. A lot is going to be placed on the shoulders of James Maloney as the new replacement for Braith Anasta. And let me say, I think it's a monumental improvement in Braith Anasta. Anasta, like Mini, I think has been gone for a long while, and at least James Maloney can bust tackles, and at least he can run big distances, and he's got genuine speed. That's something that certainly Braith Anasta couldn't do, and has not been able to do for a long while. So there's an improvement there with James Maloney, despite the fact that he's one of the worst defenders in the competition, and in fact I think the last 2 years he's either been the worst or the second worst defender. So there's a lot of work to be done there with the coach, but we've seen some of the work that Trent Robinson has done with players in the past, and he puts a lot of emphasis on defence. So he is hoping that he can fix that massive problem up for James Maloney, because opposition coaches will just run players at him. Mitchell Pearce will be their rock of Gibraltar. He has such a key role, and there's such a massive responsibility on his shoulders, and he'll be just looking to get that ball out quickly to guys like Michael Jennings and Tuivasa-Sheck, I would think. Maybe I sound harsh when I talk about Mitch, and let me say, he's certainly in the top 5 halfbacks in the competition, but there's not a lot of good halfbacks in the competition. But he's the biggest problem. He's not the number 1 go-to organising man, the on-field general, Mitch Pearce. I feel he's uncomfortable in that role, and I think he'd be a significantly better player if they could get someone in the side who can organise for him. Unfortunately, Maloney is not that guy. Let's talk about the forwards. Martin Kennedy, I thought, was disappointing last year, and I thought Jared Waerea-Hargreaves was also disappointing, particularly in discipline. And that's an area that I think the coach will be working on. let me say one thing about the Roosters forwards. Wasn't one forward in the pack that averaged over 100 metres last year, and that's a disgrace. I mean, it should be just a standard that you should get to 100 metres. The good forwards get to 120, 130. Not one guy got over 100 metres last year. And so Martin Kennedy and Waerea-Hargreaves need to pull their finger out, and they need to do a little bit better. One of the reasons why Waerea-Hargreaves doesn't have good minutes is because he makes a lot of mistakes. He makes a lot of errors, and he gives a lot of dumb penalties away. And I was staggered to think that he was in contention for the captaincy position. He's clearly one of the dumbest players I've ever seen, and how they could even consider him for captaincy is just, I couldn't believe it. I just shook my head. Martin Kennedy, I think he's got it all if he can put it together, but I never saw it last year. I'm assuming he was playing with injuries, and so very anxious to see how he went in the off-season and how he starts this year. In the back line, I think clearly last year their best forward was Aiden Gira. He's been was a cheap pickup by the Roosters a few years ago, and he's been a wonderful buy. He was just a sensational. Every time he got the ball, he made good meters. He looks dangerous. He's got skills, and he can even kick if he has to. To me, he's one of the first forwards chosen, Aiden Gira. I would think that Boyd Cordner will be one of the other guys that will be first chosen. He's the future of this team. Boyd Cordner just got a wonderful attitude and a potential future captain. I think they will probably be the two back rows. I'm doing this commentary at the time when Luke O'Donnell is not signed to the Roosters, but I'm doing it on the basis that they will sign him, and if they do sign him, he will be match fit, and I would expect that he will start at lock forward. One of the reasons why they want Luke O'Donnell is because he's tough and he's got a lot of grunt. A lot along the lines of Waerea-Hargreaves. Now the problem with that is you've got two hotheads in the side who give silly penalties away when the team's attacking, and they've got good field position. So, you know, that's going to be a big call by the coach how he manages both those guys in the one team at the same time. But certainly they are both tough, and they will be both fed by the opposition, and it's ideally if they can both start. Luke O'Donnell is just a colossus of a player. He's coming back from England with a lot of injuries that he sustained last year. He's supposed to be over that now and back in good form, and he'll be a wonderful pickup. I know he's 32, but he hasn't had a lot of football, and he's an absolute class act when he's in form, and if he can find best form, he'll be a monumental in for the Roosters. Don't worry about that. The biggest signing for the Roosters, Sonny Bill Williams, the biggest signing in the NRL for many years, Sonny Bill Williams. I can't imagine that the coach will start him, given that he hasn't played rugby league for many years, and he's just coming from a boxing preparation. So he's been to France in rugby union, and then he's had a boxing preparation, and then he's going to come in and he hasn't played rugby league in years. So for him to get used to that pace and to start him would be cruel, and I can't imagine any thinking coach would do that. And the best way for him to do this is to ease into the NRL and get used to the pace of the game and to get his fitness levels up, which are fundamentally different type of fitness to what boxing is. So my best guess here is that they'll bring him off the bench, and I guess he will come in with 15 minutes to go in a half, and I would think that while I think lock forward is his best position, he'll probably have to do a lot of tackling there, and I would think that he'll come in at left second row, and where he can combine with somebody like Michael Jennings or something like that, and or they just might give him the free rein to go on both sides of the field. In the early stages of his preparation at the Roosters, I would think if he comes on at left second row is what I think they will do. Long term, I think he'll be their lock forward, but in all honesty, because of the configuration of the team and because of the list that they've got, I would take a risk and play him at 5'8" as second receiver. He's one of the fastest runners in the NRL. He played in the back line for New Zealand in rugby union. He's very fast, but at second receiver, he would take the ball up. He'd have 2 or 3 guys hanging off him. He's got the best ball skills you've ever seen, and he'll get the ball away and cause second phase play, and he would be a nightmare for opposition, and that would allow him to play on both sides of the field, and he wouldn't have to tackle so much. He would be my number 6. But he's such an incredible player. He's truly one of the best rugby league players I've ever seen play the game. In the many years I've been watching the game, I don't think I've seen a talent like it. He's just an incredible guy, and in all honesty, you could put him anywhere and he'll have an impact. I think he'll come off the bench. I think he will settle in the back row. He'll probably end up as a lock forward. But if anything goes wrong with their number 6 and James Maloney has a problem, get injured or something like that, I don't see any reason why you couldn't slot him in at number 6. He's that good. The other guys in contention for the back row positions will be Mitch Orbison. My problem with Mitch is that he's just a little bit small, and while he can make good breaks because he's got a good swerve and a good change of pace, he doesn't scare anybody. Seems a nice guy, and he's only little. Frank Paul Nusala, I think, will come on and play lock or go up in the front row. I think he had a good year last year. Lamatasi, like to see more of him. I think he's okay. Jack Boston, I'm not getting excited about. Tiaro Arona, similar lines of Tarsi, I'm not excited about. I think both Tarsi and Arona are promising, but I would have liked to see more of them last year than what I did. I thought they had so-so years. They've got a very promising young kid coming up from the under-20s in Kane Evans. I think once he makes first grade, he'll be there for many, many years, and I expect him to represent. He's probably the best prop forward in the under-20s. They may not think he's ready at this stage. They'll probably have to get some injuries to play him, but when he does come on, he's a player of immense talent, Kane Evans. Sam Moa is another guy. Dan Mortimer, I think you'll find that he'll play halfback. If Mitch Pearce gets called up for Start of Origin, and he's probably no moral to get called up at Start of Origin, we don't know what Laurie Daly is going to do, but if he goes again with Mitch Pearce, you'll find that Dan Mortimer will come on and he'll be the number 7. And of course, he can also come on and relieve in the number 9 position. Jake Friend is another guy who they were talking about as a captain. That also was a big surprise to me, given that his age and his experience. But he's a real worker, Jake Friend. I think Brian Smith made a big problem trying to play him for 80 minutes. Look, the fact of the matter is, everybody can play 80 minutes, but it's how well you play it. And if you look at Jake Friend closely, in the last 5 minutes of each half, he absolutely struggles, and he's not good in defence. He misses a lot of tackles late in each half, and to me, I'd be playing him no longer than half an hour in each half. And then when they do that, to be able to bring on Seluini, who's one of their big ends, I don't know if you saw him in the under-20s, sorry, not in the under-20s, in the State League Grand Final last year. He just absolutely carved them up. He went unbelievable, and I couldn't think of a better guy to bring in off the bench to complement Jake Friend. And to be honest, it was me. I know Jake Friend is held in high regard, but I certainly would have no hesitation in starting with Seluini. I made the point that I think that the Roosters in the past have lacked a lot of speed. Seluini gives them speed in the middle of the ground, and Jake Friend, as good a work rate as he is, he doesn't scare anybody. He's very, very slow, and when you're slow at 20 and 21, it doesn't say much for your future, how you're going to be when you're 25 or 26. So my concern with Jake Friend is his speed. Seluini is a flying machine, and I think you need guys like that in your side. Obviously, Sonny Bill coming in will add a lot of speed into the forwards, and then you combine that with guys like Jennings and Sheck, and you're going to have a very, very dangerous side. My big concern with the Roosters is their intellect, their ability to play 80 minutes. I think there's a lot of dumb guys in this side, and I don't think they know how to count to 6. I don't know if they know how to count to 80 minutes, and they don't look at the clock, and they tend to do silly things at crucial times of the game. And it's all very well for somebody to put in a lot of hard work, like Waerea-Hargreaves is a wonderful guy you like to be in the trenches with, but it's no good if he's going to make 150 metres with big hit-ups and then he gives 2 dumb penalties away. That puts him in the minus, as far as I'm concerned. And he does that week in, week out. I think the Roosters have got a few guys in this side that give silly penalties away. Sean Kenny-Dowall is another one. You just can't afford to do it. Give silly penalties away or make silly mistakes, make key errors at crucial times. It's one of the reasons why the Melbourne Storm have been so successful. Their error rate is always under 10 every game, and importantly, when they're attacking the line, they don't make dumb errors. They make sure they get it right and they execute. The Roosters in previous years, under previous coaches, have not been able to execute when they get close to the line, and that's one of the biggest problems, and the biggest challenge for the coach is to try and get them to minimise their dumb penalties. I think he can. I think he's a highly promising coach. I hope that he hasn't been tapped on the shoulder by the board and said, hey, you've got to play Mini at fullback. I hope he's his own man, because he's highly intelligent, and I'm sure that once he's at the Roosters for a few months, he'll work it out and he'll get the configuration right, and then I think you'll see a very, very exciting Roosters team. I think they're borderline chances to play semi-final football. They're not a doubt in the world. They've got the talent to do it, and they've been backed in already from $21 into $15. I absolutely couldn't take $15 at the moment, but the upside is enormous. My biggest concern with them is Minicello at fullback, and James Maloney and Mitchell Pearce at 6 and 7. And I talked about Jake Fand. I think he's slow at 9. So there you are. I've got question marks on the entire spine. But the list is an outstanding list. It's a talented list, and the coach has got plenty to work on. I'm sure once he gets it right, you're going to see a hot Roosters side, and they'll be in contention in every game they play. Good luck. Hope you have a good year. Cheers.